Greetings from HOD Pod, an unofficial podcast and YouTube series on HBO's House of the Dragon. I am your host, the Dark Knight of Westeros, Sir Benjamin of David, and with me as always, Hand of the King, Sir Stephen of House Davinci.
Hey, hey.
We are recording live from, live from Davinci's Dreamworks 2 comic shop here in sunny Jensen Beach, Florida. We got comics, we got games, we got dragons, we have not so good episodes of House of the Dragon this week, unfortunately, but yeah, stop into Davinci's Dreamworks 2. Excuse me, gotta clear my throat there. Please subscribe to both audio and here on the channel so you don't miss an episode. We are youtube.com/above and Batman Beyond. And we are now on IG, House of the Dragon Pod, at House of the Dragon Pod on Instagram. So today we are going to recap and review HOD, House of the Dragon Episode 5, We Light the Way. We have news from the Red Keep, as always, news surrounding House of the Dragon. Non-spoiler initial thoughts. We'll always have a spoiler wall here on the show. We're going to recap and review, after that is the recap/review proper, where we have little breaks here and there. We do our dragon counts, as it is House of the Dragon. We also have lore breaks, so we'll fill you in on any lore that is applicable here at House of the Dragon. Also worth noting, every episode is that Stephen has read Fire and Blood, the book on which House of the Dragon is based. Benjamin has not. So when we do our lore breaks, Stephen is super helpful with that, because he's actually read the books. This week we have, yeah, this is when he pushes up his glasses. This week we have no IG polls at House of the Dragon Pod, but we do have a YouTube comment from 2 weeks ago, so I thought we could read that. And yeah, so that is that. Let's do our news from the Red Keep. In a world of no ravens for whatever reason. Why are there no ravens in House of the Dragon, do you know?
I don't know. Maybe these showrunners are like, more dragons, less ravens, but we don't have that many dragons either for a House of the Dragon.
Agreed. So anyway, if there were ravens, Stephen, what does the raven bring us this week?
It'd be that I believe this is the last episode for the current actress for Alicent, Rhaenyra, and Laenor, because they should be the aged up actors here soon, which I quite enjoyed Millie Alcock's performance.
Time jump.
Yeah, it might be Patty's. I'm not sure. King Viserys. He's either getting off-screened or he'll be on his deathbed. I'm not sure. So maybe also his last episode, unless they do like a weird like flashback or something.
He was looking pretty good this episode. I don't know. I love when his cousin's like, "Oh, you in good health?" He's like, "Oh yes." There's a lot of political smiling in this.
Yeah, you want a fun drinking game? Drink every time he coughs or someone questions his health. You'll be dead by the end of the episode, just like somebody else.
Hey. Cool. So, I guess Matt Smith will stay.
Yes.
Okay.
And we just now got the aged up actress for Laena. Yes, so we got the new actress for her.
And you think they'll keep her for the time jump?
I think so, because they aged her up quite a bit. Mm-hmm. So we should be fine there.
She's no longer 10 and 2 years.
Yeah, no.
Now she's like 10 and 5 years.
Yeah.
Doesn't look I mean, maybe, what do you think, 17 now?
17 or 18, maybe. Yeah. Probably 17.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're going to have the flirting with Daemon to make sure that the episode doesn't get too much.
Oh my God, hot uncle.
Yeah. And yet another scene that doesn't pay off, Stephen. Anyway, behind the scenes, before we jump into our non-spoilers, as we talk about every episode, the mini-series, whatever you want to call it, the docu-series House That Dragons Built is the behind the scenes for every episode, like 22, 25-minute episodes for each episode of House of the Dragon. And this week, what I thought was cool is the production design for the whole of 9.
I agree. I thought it looked fantastic. Also, great scene, High Tide and Driftmark for the first time in Game of Thrones.
So High Tide, as we talked about off mic, is like kind of like the castle within Driftmark. So it's kind of like the Red Keep of King's Landing.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's an island situated off the coast of Blackwater Bay, so not too far.
The water is, which for those who don't know, Blackwater Bay is the water on which King's Landing is.
Correct.
Okay.
That's where that famous battle is that we get with a lot of our characters.
Got his face cut up,
Yep, right? Tyrion got his face cut up.
Bran of the Blackwater, right? That's where he gets his name. Right?
Yep.
Nice.
Fun stuff there. But yeah, the castle looked great.
Yeah.
He had that cool. His throne was like made out of a driftwood ship.
Yeah.
He had the skulls of his ancestors up. That's why the Hall of Nine, which makes me wonder, is it called the Hall of One the first time they made it? Only one skull? No skulls? Who knows? Crab Feeder's mask was on display. That's his prize. A lot of just cool stuff. And even the king comments on it is like, this place never fails to impress. I'm like, I agree, Viserys. I agree. Looks pretty awesome.
What you've done with the place.
Yeah, first time we've seen it, and looks pretty awesome.
Even though you made me walk my sick ass through this hall.
Why did you not receive your king?
Yeah, power move.
Yeah, Lionel Strong was the most upset, actually. He's like, what the fuck?
Who has the best voice of maybe an actor ever. That guy's voice is epic, dude.
My lord.
This is how you receive your king. I love it. The production design was amazing. That giant swirly shell thing, whatever the hell that thing was. I mean, what do you think? That's some like fantasy kraken sea monster?
No, I think it was probably sculpted on the side of like an opposing ship because it's a Nautilus skull, so it's probably from an enemy fleet. Okay. And he saved it, salvaged it as a prize.
Like Aquaman real thing.
No, it definitely looked like it's something that was decorative, but probably on an opposing ship because it looks like a big trophy room.
You think we're gonna get any like Poseidon level Aquaman krakens in this?
I don't think so.
No.
It should be dragons. We should have dragons.
There you go.
I'm hoping we get a cool sea battle. That'd be cool.
That'd be sick. Dragon on Kraken.
Yeah.
Dragon v Kraken. I love that whole hall. Hall of Nine. I also like there was a section of that episode of the docuseries that called it Corliss's Collectibles because each one of those things was physically freaking built by these production designers and artists and set designers. I mean, good lord, the amount of detail for shots that they'll linger for like 2 seconds, but can you imagine like putting all that work into building this gigantic model?
Yep.
And then it's like you have these like sideshow collectible level, sculptors coming in, and then it's like, oh, my model was cut.
Well, I mean, we might see it again, actually.
That's true.
So
this could be a set throughout the series.
Right.
Good point. And then also, you and I are going to lament nonstop, so we're not going to spend too much time right now on this quote-unquote wedding that was supposed to be this thing. I mean, it's the week before rehearsal dinner, but anyway, they call it the wedding, and it's supposed to be. Anyway, but the production design of that I was very impressed with because the behind-the-scenes of it looked like, we talked about the volume several times, it's like the modern-day green screen. It looked like none of that set was volume, dude.
Yeah.
It was like the only thing that was not what you saw was the overhead light, but the camera never hits that, so it doesn't matter. It's like they built all that shit.
Oh, yeah. And it looked pretty grand.
And they had real food people. They had an interview with a food lady who's like cooked all this fucking lamb's head and all this medieval stuff. I was really impressed. Glad we're starting off positive, Steven.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Steven and I sigh. Let us move on to non-spoilers.
Non-spoilers.
So non-spoilers, episode 5, We Light the Way. Take it away, my Hand of the King.
We get introduced to some new characters, or at least see them for the first time. Mm-hmm. I believe it's Harwin Strong, Rhea Royce, and Joffrey Lawnmouth, the Knight of Kisses. Yes, we get to meet all of these characters, and
that name's about as badass as Lord of the Knight of the Flowers.
Knight of the Kisses. You want some little kisses? Yeah. Well,
I don't know. Like, if
he'll be a very popular character, sure to be in lots of episodes to come. Just like the Knight of Roses. No big deal.
Hey, it's not like his story's gonna crawl into a cave. Face cave. Okay. Terrible. I didn't know where to go with that.
But anyway, I guess...
any more non-spoiler thoughts on We Light the Way?
I didn't quite like this episode. This would definitely be on the bottom of my list for House of the Dragon episodes.
Yep.
Primarily, there is a lot of cringy dialogue. They do a lot of... which I like when things show and don't tell, but they do a lot of show things that have no payoffs, tell me things I really didn't need to hear.
Yeah.
And then just make stuff happen that makes no sense. And like deviations from the book too, which is fine. The show has lots of deviations from the book and some are pretty good. But in this case, they still want certain things to matter, but then they deviate and then it doesn't, and it's weird. So, but I mean, we'll get to that when we do some lore breaks, but it's unusual, I'll say the least.
What's unusual? Like how far they deviate without explaining, or
just how they handled it for the most part. And yeah, there's a lot of hype surrounding it to be like, this is like the Red Wedding. And like we talked about, they literally say in the episode, it's like there should be 7 days of tournament followed by the wedding. Yeah. And it's like, this is just a meetup. Like, hey, everyone's in King Landing to party. Let's go. It's like,
it's the rehearsal dinner. Yeah.
Yeah, spoiler alert, we don't get a single day of the tournament. This happens just at the rehearsal dinner that night. That's it. And it ends that evening. So, yeah. That's my non-spoiler take.
Yeah, like we were just on the behind the scenes stuff and perfect transition into this of in the behind the scenes they talk about like, you know, weddings in Game of Thrones. And at first I really felt dumb. I'm like, oh wow, I was supposed to glean from this like, here we go. But in my defense, now that we talk about it, like, no, that was the rehearsal dinner. Nothing about this was any, like, foreboding, like, oh, you know. And also, how many weddings did we get in Thrones? One?
No, we had the purple wedding, too.
Oh, right, where Joffrey gets it.
Yeah, and...
But come on. It's like, sorry, not enough of, like, you know, weddings and Thrones for this to matter. It also, again, for the millionth time, was not the wedding. It wasn't clear. I completely agree with everything you just said. Like, copy and paste, all of that. Things of the idea of showing, not telling. This is another issue with previous episodes that we didn't quite hit. But I was listening to a podcast, and it definitely made me think of something that I forgot to bring up last episode, which is the part where Damon can't get it up in the whorehouse and this being kind of an example of a lot of problems of, you're showing me a thing where in the behind the scenes, I'm hearing what is supposed to be what I'm seeing, and it's not what we're getting in the episode. It's like, Damon couldn't perform, and it's like, all right, maybe on my rewatch I got that, but like, I don't know, they didn't make that super clear. Throw in a line, throw in some kind of physicality where, some kind of physical signal, something.
I guess the dragon scales aren't quite hardened after all.
Where's your hardened armor? The nothing, not nothing, but there's a lot of that I feel in this show, and especially in this episode. Maybe not a lot in the show, that's unfair to say, but there were a couple examples last episode, and then for sure in this episode of like 5 to 10 things where it's like, yeah, we're seeing a thing that's supposed to mean this, but it's actually that, or really misleading lines, terrible exposition or wannabe exposition. I don't know. I'm just going to be ranting about things.
All I fucking have is exposition.
All I fucking have, even though I just asked you to elope. What? So yeah, I don't know what happened here. I don't know if the writers were different. The director was, again, that same female director as last episode, which I was like, cool. She did a great job with that. Give a different female point of view for a very masculine show.
Yeah, we got a thirsty Rhaenyra again. And a thirsty Lena, too.
Yeah, which was great until it wasn't, because none of it got paid off.
Yeah.
The Rhaenyra scene, too, with her at the wedding. And again, this is non-spoilers, but there was a thing with Rhaenyra that happened we keep letting them call it a wedding. The rehearsal dinner. And then Lena has a thing with Damon at the I mean, it's just, neither of those got paid off. The big freaking action scene that was supposed to be this incredible thing, this is non-spoilers, just, to me, was absolutely nothing. I don't know what happened. I don't know if there's a different writer on this episode, but I was not a fan. I can't say I recommend this episode, which is weird to say. It's a series. You have to watch it. So I can't be like, don't watch it, but don't rush to watch it. I don't know.
Yeah, same.
And like the issues that I just brought up, it's not just writing, it's also direction. It's like, if a director reads something in a script that's weak, they should at the very least, you should know what's happening in the thing that you're watching. Like, Why don't I know what's happening? In a show, especially coming off Thrones, which was like crystal clear up until that last season, almost to a fault of like, what do you want? Like characters are constantly, I brought this up in a previous episode of our podcast, is like characters in Thrones are constantly asking each other, what do you want? In those words, which is a very basic writing 101. Like you should always know what your characters want. They do a little of that in this show. Maybe it doesn't need to be as direct, but I almost never had a problem with it because it was like, all right, fine. Like people do say that in real life, and we know we're watching a show. They're speaking Shakespeare, so go for it. Like ask each other what each other wants. Let's know what these assholes, what these people want, whether it's an asshole or a good person, and just let me know what's happening, please.
Agree. We'll have to see when episode 6 comes out if this episode is entirely skippable, because they do time skip, so the characters, they kind of already know stuff from the previous episode. So if the time skip is just, hey, that's all just resolved years later, then yeah, you might just be able to skip the episode. I'd say there's only a few moments that really overall matter, and we'll talk about them when we get into spoiler stuff.
And then the final thing before we get into spoilers and our walkthrough here is just like a lot of people are complaining about the time jumps. And there was even the podcast, A Cast of Kings that I listened to, they had a bonus episode just about, do we need these time jumps? And do they serve the show and all this stuff? I personally haven't had much of a problem with them. I don't think that it has the negative consequences that this guy is pointing out. I just flat out don't agree. I see his point of view. It's one of those things where it's like, I see what you're saying. You're right for the wrong reasons type thing. Or you're wrong for the right reasons, whatever. But in this episode, like with so little consequence or unclear shit, I could see why these issues with the time jump could get real, like, it could get bad. Because if you're going to be this unclear and you're skipping around 10 years, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah.
Whew. The other thing, too, I guess, very quick, is that I am not happy about how not happy I am with this episode, because I know some people like to have podcasts just to hate on shit. I really don't do that. Like, I really like to only have podcasts about things I like. And I don't want to be complainy, but I'm just strapping.
Every series got to have a bad episode.
That's true.
Or at least there's going to be an episode in the bottom. So we're going to hit it eventually. Hopefully this is it. Maybe this is just the worst one, and it's clear skies and dragon murder from here on out. We'll see.
And so this is episode 5 out of 10 is the season?
Yeah, I believe so.
So they're doing the Standard Thrones 10 eps.
That's what it seems like.
Which also keep in mind, too, it's something to consider that typically with Thrones, episode 9 is like the big reveal, like cliffhanger-y thing, and then there's a bit of a resolution to throw off the audience of them knowing, 10's going to be the big cliffhanger, and no, it's not. A lot of surprises and stuff. So that could be happening here, which means we're really only 4 episodes from that.
True.
If that's the formula they choose.
Well, yeah, which may not necessarily be the case.
Which they might actually flip that.
It
to
could
subvert of going like, no, we're going to give it to you in 10 because now you think it's 9.
I mean, it could realistically be 6 is your big twist, because we still don't have the big conflict. A lot of this is like brewing conflict. Mm-hmm. And so if we got to get right into it, then 6 should be your big push. This is your push Bran out the window would be the next episode. And then from then,
off the horse?
Yes. And then we should just escalate from that point.
Yeah. I would like some escalation. Yeah, this was... All right, so let us do our walkthrough. We jump over the wall.
Yes, we head to the Vale.
Have you listened to the audio version yet?
Of what, our thing?
Yeah.
Not yet, no.
So our editor has added the sound of the wall from the opening map of Thrones.
Oh.
Yeah. Pretty dope. So every time we jump over the spoiler wall, you hear like a little bit of the Thrones theme, and then you hear that elevator.
Amazing.
All right. Anyway, so yes, we open with our Uggo in the mountains. We finally meet.
Yep.
What's her name? Rhea.
Rhea Royce.
Mm-hmm. Who's not much of an Uggo. So.
No, she actually looked pretty attractive. Actually, they're playing her off as this strong huntress type. Mm-hmm. She's there with her uncle, Gerald. Yes, Sir Gerald, and she goes off to go hunt for some deer by herself and comes upon a hooded figure. Looks like a tall, skinny Jawa out scavenging for maybe ladies, cousins. Where's my niece? Oh no, it's Daemon Targaryen. As she immediately addresses him as husband. Is that you? Have you come to consummate our marriage finally? Perhaps we can find you a sheep? She's basically
you finally get to know?
Yeah. She's basically requoting all the things that she's heard him talk about her. And she's getting super sassy with him, which I liked. He doesn't say anything. Like, I don't think he has a single line through the whole like encounter. He's kind of like approaches the horse all suave, like, is he about to bang the horse? Oh no. Uncle, no. And she kind of sees this look in his eye and she reaches for her bow. And I guess horses are scared of blood of the dragons, man, because he just kind of like force pushes the horse over and she gets Bran Starked, broken back.
Another unclear, like, wait, what? How did the horse flip? I literally, on my first watching, I really try not to do this on my first viewing of anything. I had to rewind it because I'm like, how did the horse fall?
He pushed it with his mind, with fear, I guess.
Like, what?
Maybe the horse was starstruck. Oh my God, Matt Smith!
That's the guy from wait, what do they keep calling it? Morbin time?
Morbin time. It's Morbin time. Ah.
I mean,
yep. So the horse fell over, landed on Miss Royce, and broke her back. Yep. And he goes and checks because she's spread out. Her arms are all laid out like a cross, and he's like stepping on the one arm.
Check,
and he steps on her arm a little bit. She doesn't respond. She's like, all right, and goes to walk away. And she's just like, you're not even gonna finish it. So he looks down, finds him a rock, walks over to her, and then, Genie! And then, bam, cut to black. It's like, all right. I was like, I thought Throne was supposed to see all the visceral stuff. We'll get some later, I guess.
That annoyed me, yeah, because I'm like, it was a good cut to the fish getting its head cut off on the ship. It was a good cut if it was not in a Game of Thrones show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's great filmmaking, is to, you know, we know what happened, but you don't need to show it. But no, we do. Like in Thrones, at least, like, we could have seen him strike her, and then maybe if you don't see the hit, you hear it, you see the blood, jump to the blood of the fish. I think there's about 7 other ways you could have made that Thrones.
But that's twice now. They have Daemon Targaryen not kill an important person, but kill them. Because the crab feeder.
The other one? Oh, yeah.
The crab feeder, and now his wife.
You're right.
And I'm like,
kill the crab feeder.
Is there a reason? Is there like a cinematic reason for why? Is it so we don't associate him with a monster? Because cutting a dude in half would be visceral. At least when he's like running from the other dudes and he's attacking them, it's for his life. He's completely surrounded, so it's more like a defense thing. But like going into the cave to find the crab feeder and cut him in half and drag his corpse out, that's more like, ooh, oh God, that's some Magor shit. Now Otto's right. Smashing his wife's face in. That's
good
pretty.
Point. That would serve to see the point of view of his opponents.
But that only serves it's disservice for us, the audience, unless the showrunners are trying to portray him as something that he's not to us. And it's like, just show us who he is.
Yeah.
He's a fucking monster. He's going to actually smash the face in of a literally defenseless woman that he's supposed to be betrothed to.
Yeah. Right.
Just saying, what's up with that? It's twice now. It's like, is it going to keep happening?
It's a really good point. Yeah, and like you could have done the whole, with the crab feeder, you could have done the whole Johnny Mnemonic thing where it's like they slice the person in half and then the half slides down. That would have been sick, dude.
Oh, yeah.
That's a quick shout out to, which I forgot I never realized when I was a kid how bad Johnny Mnemonic is. it's so bad that it's like cult classic level bad.
Oh, I enjoy that movie. That movie's super fun. I
loved it. I was having a blast the other night
and
watching
they
it.
ham it up so much in that movie too.
It's amazing.
Especially the villain. Oh man.
I want room server. Anyway, we are not here to talk about Johnny Mnemonic. All right, so yeah, I was gonna use my reference here, my Star Wars reference, but you stole. I mean, the oversized Jawa was way better than Dark Lord Damon. But the whole rocking a dark hooded cloak thing, it was very Dark Lord Jedi, Darth Maul shit.
Yep.
Which I appreciated. I was like, all right, that works for this. I mean, Lucas's whole world was a medieval feudal thing. So it works with all these knights and all this shit. Anyway, great cut from the rock to the fish head. Again, if it was a different show, but whatevs. Also, it doesn't really work because it's like, she didn't get her head chopped off. She got her face caved in. Like, so that's different. But
yeah,
cool.
he legit apparently tried to make it look like an accident. Like she fell that way.
Because people fall on rocks face. I don't know. That didn't. Yeah.
Well, we don't see how he hits her, so it's hard to tell. Again, we don't get to see. So it's the show likes to tell us stuff that makes no sense, and they show us things. Show and don't tell and let us make our own choices, but don't do both and then do both badly. Yeah. This episode is a great example of don't do any of the stuff they did in this episode, please. Please no.
Yeah, remember last episode when I was like, hey kids, take note of, if you want to be a director and an editor, don't take note of this episode, please.
Yeah.
They were having a bad 10 days or however long it took to shoot. The other thing too is like, you could have done what they did in The Wire of, there's a season in The Wire where they're setting up a fake serial killer, essentially. The police are making it look like, almost in a Dexter type way of like, not killing serial killers, but you're making it look like people are getting killed by a serial killer. And they're posing the deaths of homeless guys to make it look like there's homeless killings. So you could have had like, basically an investigator, in this case Damon, like smashing the back of her head, like posing the whole thing to make it look like a natural death. Which, yeah, once again, not clear. So Rhaenyra and Viserys are sailing for Driftmark, correct? That's where they're headed?
Yep.
Okay. Viserys is seasick. Surprise, surprise.
Yep.
Viserys is sick.
Take a shot. He's sick. I'm feeling woozy.
And, again, it's just a thing of, like, there's then that rack focus transition, whatever you want to call it, to Rhaenyra seeing him sick, but there's no real, like, I'm concerned for my father. I don't know.
Yeah, they didn't have her show any concern, actually, which is quite unusual, too, because she seems to have a better relationship with her dad.
Right.
It kept making me think of that line. Man, what is it? I think it's Varys that says it in Game of Thrones. He goes, oh, what is it? The king shits and the hand wipes. And seeing the new hand, Lionel Strong, it's like the king sicks and the hand pats. It's okay, my lord. We're almost there.
The king six. And then, so what happens in that? Is it just to see that we're sailing to Driftmark? Is that it?
So it's showing us, it's cut between two things.
Okay.
It's them progressing to Driftmark to make their proposal, but at the same time, it's because they're leaving for a new proposal, a new beginning, essentially. While at the same time, we get clips of the Red Keep, and it's Otto leaving, but he's leaving because he was dismissed. And his daughter's trying to talk to him. They're obviously kind of upset with one another, and then it comes together at the end. That's one of the important parts, I feel. So, like, while the episode as a whole is probably a skip, this is one of the scenes where you do need to pay attention to, because what Otto is telling his daughter is very important, especially when it's like, listen, the king's going to die. And of course he would know. He's the hand of the king. He's like, he's unwell.
I've seen the maggots.
Yeah, we see him throw up, and we would associate that with seasickness, but it's more than that. And it's like, listen, he's going to die. And when Rhaenyra takes the throne, and you're choosing to side with her, which is a mistake.
But yeah, all you had to do there was have him throw up blood. Like, just step that up a little bit.
Yeah, I know. But it's constant. He's always going to be coughing. He's always going to be sick throughout the episode until it progresses and progresses to the blood. That's where it gets worse. But yeah, so he's straight up like, hey, you siding with her was a mistake.
So now we're at the Red Keep, which...
Yeah, it's like, that was a mistake. And you're going to see, because when she ascends the throne, knives are come out. It will start a war, whether you think they all agree to it or not. And the only way her claim can stay legitimate is to put your children to the sword. And it's like, and it will happen. It's like, you have to prepare Aegon for the throne. I
feel like that's the one purpose of this episode, is just to drive that home. And it actually did that pretty well. Of like, look, this is drama at its best. If Rhaenyra succeeds, your kids will get killed. If your kid succeeds, Rhaenyra's out. Yeah.
And that's only because the kingdom will resist. They'll resist the choice that was made. It'd be different if they just accepted it and there wasn't going to be any belly aching about it. Then, yeah, I doubt Rhaenyra would actually kill the kids. They're good friends. They would probably just be fine.
They're also her nieces and nephews.
Yeah, instead you can have other drama where maybe one of the kids thinks that he deserves to be
brothers and sisters.
Yeah, so instead you could get drama from the other angle where maybe the boy grows up and is like, no, I should be king because I'm the boy. Like, people see thoughts into him and then tries to usurp her. But yeah, and of course Alicent is upset with her dad because she's like, listen, you got yourself fired because you're constantly trying to elevate Aegon's status. And it's like, I don't want that or need that. And he's trying to tell her actually what the real reason is.
And he gets up in her face, he's like, daughter? Which I was like, yeah. I wish there was a bit more of the Queen's Guard, like, whoa, back it up. Like, he gets in her face.
It's her dad. The Queen's Guard are probably like, Daddy's allowed to spank.
By the way, yeah, Daddy's allowed to spank. Plus, the royal umbrella is the most regal thing I've ever seen. Like, it's pouring rain at the Red Keep, and the Queen is being escorted by a dude with the biggest fucking umbrella that has ever been.
The only one.
That is the most regal, royal, like, who would ever get an umbrella that size beside the Queen?
Yeah, exactly. And the only one allowed to get the Queen wet is the King. He's always hard working at it.
I also thought some positive, great detailed shots of the Red Keep in this episode. Like, so much so that particular shot that we're talking about now in the beginning, camera moves down to them in the rain, and man, like, the towers of the fucking Red Keep, it's like a classic Gothic cathedral meets Naboo from Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
Because like some of the towers were like flat at the top and kind of curved.
Yep.
And then it went to these just giant Gothic, like the flying buttresses and the shapes of the windows and shit. I was like, so much so that I was like, where is this? Like, what castle is this? I'm like, oh, we just never seen, I guess, these angles.
Yeah, and not that side either. This is
not that side. I was going to ask about that.
Because,
so what's this, the back door, I guess?
Well, I imagine this is probably near the Tower of the Hand. Because we know that the Tower of the Hand exists. Like, he has his own tower.
Tywin Lannister.
But we never see him have to go out like the exit of the Red Keep that way, because he always exits through and goes to the Iron Throne and whatnot, and then they make that the small council area. But no one needs to enter or exit that area. But he's being dismissed, so it's time to pack it up and get out.
And leave out the back door. We don't want people seeing.
Yeah.
It's like when at a restaurant, it's like, yeah, that's the employee bathroom. Don't you? I really like that confrontation, though. That even though this isn't a great episode, that actor playing Otto, like, listen to me, daughter. And that line, too. Like, Rhaenyra will have to put your children to the sword. That was good.
Yeah.
For what it was good.
I mean, this whole episode is going to be a lot of, the Queen's alone. She has no friends. Let's talk to her.
Yeah.
Let's convince her.
And again, I don't find believable that she's not, like, I know Cersei was an evil queen, so of course she's going to be surrounded by a lot of guards, but, like, up the visual cues that there's a ton of security on the queen here.
Yeah, well, it's more than that, too. That's a status thing. It's like nowadays, like, you try to be friends with the most royal person you can because you get to get in to the best places. You get to sit at the best table. Right. Why would she not have a fucking army of other women that are, like, trying to be your besties? Yeah. It's really perplexing to me. I was like, is the High Towers just that hated or something? Like...
Yeah.
he seems to be pretty well respected, so their family should be pretty well respected. They're like a large family in Old Town. And yeah, the fact that she doesn't have anybody. She has no friends. She has no fake friends even. Like
even fake friends.
Yeah, she should have fucking hundreds of them because everyone in court is always vying for a better position, a better spot. And it's always about you got to be with the person who can get you to meet newer people so you can elevate your status and position.
And like you said, a perfect example, even nowadays, like there's that show Extras, the Ricky Gervais show, and it's like there's always, they eat lunch at this fancy place, and then they're always like, as he gets more famous, he starts to be more embittered by who's sitting with who and all that bullshit. And like his friend, who's like a more normal person, she's like, but wait, what does that person do? She's not famous. And he's like, she's friends with people. He's like, I didn't know that was a job. He's like, oh, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, people do that. Also, how about we already saw it in fucking Thrones proper, a Targaryen. I mean, I know Hightower's not a Targaryen, obviously, but like, yeah, Daenerys had Doria and like all her hot maidens and stuff. I mean, yeah, Doria stabbed her in the back, but like, yeah, you would have an entourage. You would have handmaidens, you'd have the entourage. Instead, we get like the gnome girls who were like, yo, Grace, and they curtsy and fuck off. It's like, that's not enough.
Yeah, and they don't do a good job of telling us that she wants to be alone. She doesn't come off as a person who's outright trying to be lonely.
Good point.
She comes off as somebody who's lonely as a response to her treatment. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what? Well, no world would that be the case. She'd be swarmed with people.
No one likes me. My ass.
Yeah.
You're the queen.
Yeah. Nope. There'd be plenty of people who fake like you, and then probably at least a small portion that equally do after getting to know you.
And again, the very least, just a dude with a big-ass sword standing next to her. Where is that? Like, where's literally the Queen's Guard? Where are they? The umbrella guy? Am I supposed to think, like, that guy wasn't even a knight from what I saw?
Hey, we saw last episode that one kid slayed that older kid. So that umbrella guy, he'll fuck some people. You don't know. Hard trained. He could have the blood of the first men is under this umbrella.
Our sigil is the umbrella.
House umbrella. We keep the queen unmoist.
Not the princess, as we see. Ho!
Whoa!
Rewatching the episode, our podcast episode last week, I'm like, did I really say the word moist? Why am I saying these things? All right, we arrive at High Tide. High Tide, once again, is like the Red Keep of Driftmark. So Driftmark is the kingdom, right? The location, the island of the Valerians, and then High Tide is the castle.
Yep.
So the king is greeted by the young lord of High Tide and his boyfriend.
Oh, yeah.
Which, totally fine, but the issue here is it's a power move from Corlys, clearly, right? It's like, we will not receive the king. The king, if he wants the hand of my gay son, he will come to me. Is that what I was...
Well, he doesn't even know that that's what he's there for yet.
Yeah, does he not? That was a question I have,
Maybe.
too. Is that one of those political things of like, oh, why are you here? What brings you to me?
I mean, it's possible. In
so
another world, he left the council. He knows that he is seeking a marriage elsewhere. So the king could be showing up, because he does show up with a force, technically. He's like, could be showing up to be like, hey, what's all this shit I keep hearing about, bro? He's a Targaryen. He'd be like, I hear you trying to marry the Sea Lord of Bravos? Listen, bro. Nah.
Oh, okay. So from Corlys' point of view, it could have been like, if you're going to confront me, you will come to my throne.
Yeah.
So he could have thought that was a confrontation.
It's very possible.
Right. Because Lena, the daughter, is still betrothed to
the Sea Lord of Bravos. Bravos.
Right. So there could be other political motives. And this is a time of, you don't know what the person wants until they get there. You know, they ride for a month in Thrones until... And
and I also thought that it was a little bit of a saucy move too, because it's Lena that comes out and says, "Oh well, my father just got back. You know, he's very tired," and it's kind of like because Viserys doesn't do anything, which he comments on later. He never got the trials or tested to see what his metal could bring.
Yeah, no war.
But Corlys did. Like, he's just fighting 3 years in the Stepstones, so he just now got back finally consolidated his fleet,
A man
got
of
everyone
action.
back home. He's like, yeah, I'm going to go take a rest in my comfy ass chair. He's like, King can come meet me in my man cave. And it was kind of like a slight like that too. And where it's like, my dad's always off doing stuff.
Agreed.
And it's funny
Again?
that it's Lena too, because Lena, remember, is supposed to marry the king. And he's like, 10? Too young. 15 though.
Remember me when you tried courting me in the court? Still agreed with all that. Very unclear though. Was it a power move? Why was it a power? Like, just give us a couple fucking lines, man. Like, you made the stink of your hand of the king going, this is how you receive your king, and then it's just kind of like, well, we're all pals now. What? I don't know. Did that?
Yeah, I would have reverse power moved to be like, all right, pack up our shit, let's go.
Right, yeah, well, all right, we're out. And here's your summons. I'll see you at the Red Keep in 10 days or your head. Like, come on, give us fucking, not your head, but you know what I mean. Like, something, dude. Anyway, that seems to be the theme of We Light the Way with our darkness of fucking knowledge here. We're back in the God's Wood of King's Landing. Actually, what else could we say about... Oh, yeah, because we're about to get back to High Tide. So we're back in the God's Wood of King's Landing.
Yes, where Larys Strong, he's the clubfoot son of the new hand of the king, Lionel Strong, or as we'll call him, Creepy Strong. Creepy Strong, if this motherfucker had a mustache, he would twirl it so hard you would think he was a fancy mixologist. This in the gardens, like, you're like a stranger alone. And it's like, okay, well, that's because we just discussed that. It's unusual for me to be alone anyways, but thanks. It's like, this rose is a Dornish rose. The fact that it can survive here. And it's like, okay. It's like, you're surviving quite well.
And then at a certain point, she explicitly is like, state your business.
It's like, what the fuck do you want, dude? You're creepy as balls. And he's like, I heard from the maester that Rhaenyra got some tea. Tea, you say? They make it seem like there's only one type of tea in this world.
That too. It's like, dude, which tea? You're British people. You're always drinking tea.
It's like, apparently the Grand Maester only ever makes one tea.
That's like
the tea.
Yeah. She had coffee, my lord. What?
Yes.
Okay.
I cannot believe it. Milk from the poppy. But yeah. So basically, like, she just heard from her dad. No, Rhaenyra bad. And now Creepy Strong's like, Rhaenyra bad. Is like, I'm telling you, bro, Rhaenyra bad. And so she's like, oh, man, maybe they're right. 2 whole people have told me how wrong I am.
And it's just, the issue apparently is just Rhaenyra fucks. And it's like, okay, but who, when, what, where, when, and why? Like, let's do some journalism homework here. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
Quick lore break before I get to my complaints. Again, we're in the God's Wood. I'm assuming Aegon the Conqueror, chose this location for the Red Keep. Was it for the God's Wood, like the red of the leaves? He named the Red Keep, or is that completely disconnected? And
No, it's just disconnected from that.
So why the Red Keep? Why is that name?
That's just the name that they gave.
So is it because Targaryens rock the red color and that's what their keep?
Well, they generally wear black. That's the Targaryen traditional
but the dragon's
color is black.
red.
Yes, that's just to give accent to it, but their
okay.
primary color is black.
I see what you mean. Okay.
And I mean, heck, Aegon's dragon was primarily black.
Okay. So I overthought that. But how is the location though? Like there being a God's Wood, the symbol of the old gods. Is that why he chose that location for the Red Keep?
The God's Woods used to be everywhere.
So
but
they're
then,
not that special?
But then, yeah, all the non blood of the first men would chop them down and such. But because people still believe in the old gods, he wanted to. Aegon's whole thing was like to respect kind of all religion because he didn't really care either way. Mm-hmm. So, and which upset the ones who follow the Seven. But he's like, yeah, you can have a sept over here, sure. And there's like, there will be the God's Wood so people can come and respect the old gods because that's the whole thing. You pray under the God's Wood.
Yeah, like you need the tree to pray, yeah.
Right. And so, and like various people still respect that tradition, even in the Night's Watch. So like those of you who still respect the old gods, we can take you beyond the wall over. There's a weirwood tree over there. Mm-hmm. You can go do your oath by that for those who wish to do so. And it's just it's basically like a little churchyard.
Got it.
But for only that.
Yeah. And it's interesting that there is this freedom of religion within such an old world. And it's historically accurate, too. Like, successful conquerors would allow for freedom of religion because it's like, this is not worth it. I mean, historically, if you try to tell people what to believe, it doesn't work. We got the 30 Years' War. We got, all the issues that we have. One of the great things about, not to be too America here, but, like, that freedom of religion's massive. And if you see, the biggest threat to our country right now is our political or religious zealots, right? So you have, in Rome, they allowed people to believe whatever they wanted. The saying was, as long as you pay your taxes, you're good. Like, believe what you want.
Yeah.
And then, what's his name, too? Why am I unable to think right now? Mongolian guy. Genghis Khan allowed freedom of religion as well. And what that does is, each land, the strategy there, too, is whatever you believe. It's like, if this place believes in that, we can conquer them, still let them believe it, and still be able to collect taxes, because the next town over is not going to believe the same shit. So if we try to tell everyone what to believe, they're going to revolt. It solves a lot of problems, potential problems. So that's interesting.
Yes.
This Lord Laris the Creep.
Creepy strong.
Creepy strong. This felt like another Star Wars-y thing, like the Dark Lord Daemon thing, just badly done.
Yeah, I didn't like it. Just, hopefully we won't get much more of him, but we'll see.
Moving on, state your purpose, my lord. I like that line from her. We already talked about this. Yeah, sorry. So now we're back at the Hall of Nine.
Yep. Again,
really cool behind-the-scenes info on this whole place. The Corliss's collectibles segment was awesome.
Oh, yes. All the stuff in the throne room for him looked quite awesome. They are having a nice little feast. He proposes the marriage pat, which he has some conditions to it. Also, before that happens, too, his cousin shows up, Rainey's, and she goes to greet him, and she does kind of rear back a little bit when she grabs his hands, realize that he's obviously missing fingers or is injured. Yeah. He kind of looks down. So she's like, huh. And I think that's when she realizes that, he's not in good shape.
Oh, keep talking. I got to kill the AC.
Yeah. And at this point, they're like, okay, well, our conditions are, how will succession be handled? And it's like, well, Rhaenyra is my heir. So, their first child, be it a boy or a girl, will be the heir. It's like, but will we keep in the tradition of Westeros? Will they be a Valerian? Mm-hmm. And he's thinking, he's like, he's really torn because a Targaryen has to be on the throne based off the prophecy. Mm-hmm. So he's like, they'll be born Valerians, but upon their ascension to the throne, they will take the name Targaryen. He's like, acceptable.
Deal.
He's like, deal. Let's do it. Let's feast on some seafood, and then let's go to King's Landing, and we transition to that where we get our dragon counts. Woo-wee.
Yeah, let's do a quick dragon count.
So the Valyrian fleet is approaching King's Landing. We get 2 dragons up in the sky zooming by. One is Sea Smoke. He's kind of to the left at first, then he shifts to the right.
Again, we met at the end of 2 episodes ago.
Yep, that's Laenor's dragon, which he appears to be riding too. The other one, I don't see a rider for it, but we do know who it is. It's Meleys, the Red Queen. That is Rhaenys' dragon. That's her dragon herself, so it's coming as well.
Rhaenys is again cousin of the king. Viserys.
Yep, the queen that never was.
Queen that never was.
So it's cool that they're bringing the dragons over by. It's kind of like a full show of force, but it's a show of status, I think. Because the whole idea of this is that he has the navy, they'll have all the dragons united, and he's bringing it looks like all of the ships, like it's a big deal, like let's go. At the same time, we cut to Viserys' ship with Rhaenyra, and we're gonna get some cringe fest lines. You guys ready? Ooh boy.
Oh my god, dude.
So
real quick, guys, we forgot to turn off the AC, so if you've heard it buzzing the whole time, sorry about that. We're still working out some kinks, but go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. It still isn't turned off. I will go do that.
Yeah,
you can talk about some of the cringe fest. I'll be right back.
All right, yeah, cool, thanks. Yeah, I mean, this whole thing on the ship with Sir Kristen Cole and her and the princess was just like, if you want to have this dude propose some kind of elope thing, I would have bought it. Like, I don't have a problem with the idea of the scene. You know, if this was on, like, one of the note cards on the wall of the writer's room, and it's like, he proposes to elope, fine, great. Like, this is the world we're in. This would kind of be his only way out. I thought it was even, like, a bit of a, it was kind of romantic the way he was like, you know, I've seen ships of cinnamon and whatever the hell. I mean, it was a little corny, but it's also the way
cinnamon and oranges.
Yeah, cinnamon and oranges. Because oranges back then are like, you know, a big fucking deal, apparently.
The thought I had is, she's like, I can escape and have days of oranges, cinnamon, sex, and ooh, poverty.
Sex that smells
And
of cinnamon and orange.
she looked like she was kind of going for it. She's like, yeah, ooh, except for that poverty part. Don't like that.
It will be poor, you say.
Ooh, poor. I don't know. It's like, or we could keep. I made an arrangement walking on the beach with Lenore earlier, since he's gay and likes the night of kisses.
Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about... Oh, actually, Well, I guess we skipped. We haven't talked about the open relationship proposal.
Yeah. So they're talking about it. She's like, yes, some of us prefer duck to goose. And he's like, it's not like that I haven't tried goose. And it's like, maybe goose is just too oily. It's
so
like
Sir Kristen Cole is apparently the roast duck of Dorne.
Yeah. So they come to the conclusion, listen, well, we just do our duty and then we can, do our own thing. And he's like, deal. So the Valerians and Targaryens, they're like, how about this? Yes, matched you. Good. All right, we're done.
If I was gay, I would completely change my, the way I called preference for men. I would from now on just be like, I prefer goose.
And so, so he's like, wait a minute, you would treat me like a whore? It's like, well, no, not realistically.
This is where I was like, wait, what?
A whore? You're not getting paid, Sir Kristen. But
whores get paid, dude.
It's like you be at my whim. We just do what we keep doing. Everything still happens, except that every once in a while, Lenore's got to put it in. Got to squeeze out an air or something. You know how it goes.
Here's who would not want to have the title Whore of the Princess? That sounds amazing, dude.
I'll take it. I'm ready.
Girl's rich. She's hot. You don't have to do any of the commitment stuff. It's a man's dream. You get to still be a knight. I mean, I don't see the issue here, but I guess...
Oh, did you say the cringe line while I was dealing with the air? Did you tell him?
No, I don't think I did.
Oh, yeah. He talks about, when she says, no, I can't really marry you. He's like, I had an oath. I've soiled my white cloak, which is all I fucking have. It's like, whoa, dude, calm the fuck down, bro. It's like, you were just talking about running away, so I don't think that oath mattered much to you, because you also made an oath to always be, the knight. And you're like, let's run away, get married right now, today. We can jump off the ship.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden this cloak matters so much. Yeah, I was like, what?
It's like, just use some club soda, dude. It'll get it out. No worries.
And it's like, is that all he has? So he doesn't come from a family of means or anything?
No. That's why it was a big deal.
Which is interesting. That makes his character that much more. Yeah, actually, because I heard an interview with that actor I think I was talking about. And yeah, he does say that. He's like, I don't, my character doesn't come from means. So that his honor truly is one of the only things he possesses. But as you said, then don't have that line follow a line of him trying to elope. That makes no sense.
Yeah. So he kind of storms off, all kind of whiny, and I'm like,
I did like
cringy.
His timing of walking away when it was in the middle of her, political history of House Targaryen of
but the
Aegon conquered to unite the king. He's like, fuck this.
It's like I hear this every week from you guys.
Yeah, that was. I did like when he walks away, but it was a weak scene.
It'd be funny if he's always like, I'm right outside your door every time you practice that speech.
Oh my god. So yeah, they make this. I also like within. I think you said this, but just to be crystal here, when Corlys is like, I only see clarity, your grace. That was smart to have this scene of, and then he says, yeah, when the firstborn ascends the throne, they will do so under the name Targaryen. So it's like, you can keep the name when they're not on the throne. We can do that tradition. Okay, yeah, you said all this.
Yeah,
like make sure we hit this.
Their bloodline would be what it is. In fact, I mean, technically, I guess you could have their name Valerian Targaryen. I mean, that works too.
Technically, all related anyway.
Yeah, they both have the blood of old Valyria, so that's why they can both be dragon riders. They both have white hair. They're essentially the same, but different.
Same but different.
Same but different.
So then we have Rhaenyra and Laenor iron out their open relationship. You know,
Yep.
So we talked about that because that's what so that was before the Sir Chris. Yeah, it would have to be. Okay. But yeah, I also like the line, each of us dines as we see fit. Yeah. It's like, can we please dispense with the fucking food analogies at any point during this whole conversation?
Yeah, and I like how Corus is like, where is Laenor? Oh, he's walking the beach with Rhaenyra. Oh, sweet. Do it, my boy. And it's
now he will like vagina because they had their beach walk.
But of course, Rhaenys is like, you know his true nature, right? It's just a phase. He'll grow out of it. There's no pleasure in the world like bedding a woman. And he looks at her like.
Well, not only that, he pulls her hair back in a kind of hot move, and he's like, "There's no pleasure in the world like bedding a woman." I was like, more of this.
He's about to dragon ride.
He's about to show her the sea snake. And then, this was interesting, too. Like, the whole Queen That Never Was issue comes up again. This felt very fucking Thrones, right? It's like, because if he gets the power, he could reinstate her, right?
He could, but he's mainly focusing on his line, his lineage carrying on. He feels like it is getting some justice for what happened, because he even mentions that. He says it's justice.
Justice.
Because, his wife was passed up.
But then why does he say, if I'm in power, I would change such a rule? Is that just to bring her honor back?
It's to bring her honor back. It's also to make sure
not
that,
title, but just more
because
honor.
If the firstborn is a girl, he can make sure that the firstborn with Laenor would be the queen, the king consort. So yeah, it's just to set things the way they are, or the way that they are going to be.
So I think this would be a fun miniseries. We'll call it Laenor and his paramour.
Yeah.
Laenor's paramour. So we get our scene with Laenor and his paramour on the beach.
Yep. He's making out with the Knight of Kisses. Longmouth. Joffrey Longmouth. It's Lawn Mouth, but come on, we know why he's there. He's got the long mouth.
He needs a long mouth for that sea snake. Hey, Junior.
Wow.
Oh, Benjamin.
So we
discuss the open relationship.
Yeah. And then we're back to where we discussed. We go to King's Landing. Sir Christian's had a rough ride. Sad ride on the boat, and he gets called. He's like, I just left the princess a few minutes ago.
He's like, but I was just
It's like, oh my god. And it's like, no, it's the queen this time. Oh no. And we get to see more in clarity her nice orgy poster she has up in her room. So it is very. It wasn't as noticeable to me in a lot of the other episodes because it was so dark.
It was dark.
Yeah, now it's well lit room. You're like, this is some interesting decor you got here, Your Majesty.
The Queen's chambers literally are just muraled with giant, like, ancient Greek / Kama Sutra orgies. Like, it's just like, why is this in the Queen's chamber of all places?
So she can learn. She has to study. Those are her open notebooks.
It's like she steps off the bed for a second. She's like, wait, okay, I'll try that one.
So Christian,
could you give me some practice?
But yeah, so Alicent's in there and she's kind of vaguely grilling him. She's like, you've heard a disturbing rumor, and it's not my place to question Rhaenyra's chastity. And they're just going through it, and he's like, and that night that she did something unspeakable, and he just stands up. He's like, It was me. I did it. I fucked the princess.
And this to me was just
He's like, please don't torture me, castrate me, just kill me.
This was out of character for number one any night ever. I mean, these, let alone a dude like these are sworn soldiers, let alone a guy who is a man of few words. Like I was saying off mic to Steve, like this is what makes the dude like such a kind of hot whatever night is that he's not too chatty. Like he says cool shit when he needs to, and advice to any dude: talk less. Women will like you better. It's just a thing. Like for this guy to stand there and over-explain, like literally my own mother the other day was breaking my balls, going, "You just took longer to explain your way out of that than it would have been to just do the thing." And it's like, this dude standing there, "Oh, yeah, it was me and my honor, and I banged the princess, your friend." Shut the fuck up.
He's like, she was hot. I couldn't say no. She's the princess.
Yeah, it's like, and even if this was him doing that, which he wouldn't have done, it would have been in like 2 lines. It would have been like, well, I just, really like her, and that was that. Like, just something. This was so bad. And plus, any potential tension, I thought, with her, like, insisting that he sat down next to her, I'm like, just have her slide a hand on that thigh. Do something. Like, throw something in here that is interesting.
I want some hot Dornish night.
Yeah. Why does Rhaenyra the only one who gets the Dornish meat? I want some.
We're like sisters. We share everything.
We share everything. We tell each other everything. Plus, she's the queen. If she wants to take that night, she could take that night, son.
Technically, I'm her mother-in-law.
You do like... never mind. I'm not saying.
Oh, God.
Okay. So this is what you called audience catch-up. It's in comedy, it's known as the French bedroom farce, which is one character knows the thing that the other doesn't, and the tension is supposed to be blah, 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 blah. And it's like what, in my opinion, the show Frasier devolved into. Is every episode was, oh, Niles doesn't know that I am on my way to the opera, but I am, and what's to happen? It's like, it could be interesting. It was not.
There are lots of movies where it plays fine because it's the tension of the character. We know something that the characters don't, and a part of the entertainment comes from us experience their displeasure, their torture, their stress, or their ignorance as they stumble across something. But in this case, it's not played for that. It's literally just us watching the characters catch up to what we already know because there's not any tension, especially when she just lets him walk away. It's like, oh, okay, I don't get to be killed, so it didn't matter. This whole conversation didn't matter. Why are we having this? Let's go to the scene that actually matters, which, by the way, that's the king getting tended to by the maesters.
More leeches.
And another maester, Alwyn, I think they actually give him a name. Alwyn comes up and is like, hey, I prepared some herbal poultices, which might do better. And he's like, no. My lord prefers the leeching.
Yeah.
The leechings alleviate the pain. And then prepares him some milk of the poppy so he can go to sleep and get sucked off, I guess. I don't know. And he doesn't like his treatment from them anyways because he was asking for the queens. Like, she's just indisposed at the moment. I don't know.
She's much better at happy endings.
We don't know where she is. But yeah, she's the one that actually provides comfort.
Fucking gnome hats that these guys have. I was telling Steven, I don't like their gnome hats. This is a completely artificial criticism, but fuck those gnome hats.
That's their medical wear. They gotta wear their togas to work, gnome hats to
no gloves, but yeah.
Clean. Oh yeah, ooh. Just apply the leeches straight from your. Just stick your hand right in the jar and just throw them at them. There you go, you did it.
It's like when Samuel Tarly's ripping the grayscale off Jorah, no gloves. He's got all that gear.
He's got the thick gloves on. Yeah, he's got gloves on.
Oh, okay.
That was a big deal. Like, he puts it on and stuff, and then he puts the paste on.
Oh, you know what I was thinking? It wasn't gloves. It was no mask.
Yes.
That's what.
Yeah, no mask. Yeah, because it like explodes like. It's like, ooh, I got grayscale mayonnaise in my mouth. Kind of tastes like tartar sauce.
Well, I mean, they did cut to the chicken pot pie after.
Yeah, I know.
so gross.
Well, they did that a bunch. He's cleaning out the toilets, and they go to the fucking brown stew.
Yeah,
You're like,
food.
oh.
And you're just like, well, I guess food and poop are pretty similar. So weird.
It all ends up the same.
Anyway,
But that was an important part, by the way. That's a part that you can't
so
skip in
explain
this
the importance
episode.
of that, yes.
So, if it was my understanding, I would say that the Grand Maester and probably the original Hand of the King, Otto, are conspiring to get the king killed. Because why would you turn down a way to help the king better if you're not trying to keep him perpetually sick?
Yeah, like herbs would seem like a systemic solution versus just leeches and heroin.
Yeah, he literally has an infection, and they're like, nah, just keep chewing away at the dead pots. Make him drunk so he doesn't feel it. I'm like, yeah, no, that's not what you do. You bad doctor.
Or he could have been doing the thing, like Otto could have had the plan of, the mother keeping the daughter sick, sixth sense thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what we should have probably focused more on, but it was just not a great scene in the show, was 29 minutes apparently of this and took 10 days to shoot, of what is really a rehearsal dinner, but was supposed to be the Red Wedding House of the Dragon.
It's literally everybody coming to prep for the wedding.
But the one I will say positive part of this is the line, not like you, bronze cunts. The use of cunt, and what was the other word? He's cunt struck.
Yeah. Look at him, cunt struck.
Anyway, so we got to wrap this up. All right, so what happens here? Steven, you're better at being concise. Go for it.
Yeah, we got it. All right, they're at the dinner. They're announcing everyone as they come in. The Valerians come in. It's a big deal. Everyone shows up, sits down. But then right after them, here comes crazy Uncle Damon. He comes strutting in. The king's kind of like, oh, God. But, no matter how much he gets pissed, he loves his brother. And he's like, get him a seat at the head of the table. So pulls him out of a chair and he sits down. He doesn't say anything. No snarky Damon comments.
He was pretty well behaved.
Yeah. Sir Gerald is there from the Vale, and he's already been like, oh, sorry to hear about, what happened to Miss Royce. It's like, yes. And so he sits down. He's very close.
I heard of the Uggo.
Yes, I've heard the Uggo's demise. How unfortunate. She was supposed to be a great hunter. Tripped on a horse or something? Sucks.
Well, nothing weird about that. Moving on.
Yeah, so we're all ready. The queen's missing, but no time for that. Got to do the speech. So King's doing a speech. They immediately interrupted because there's the queen.
Interruption number 2, by the way.
Yeah,
Come on, dude.
number
This guy
2.
can't finish a fucking sentence.
Nope. He's like, oh, I'm coughing here. I'm going to be coughing up blood. Just let me finish one damn speech. And so Alicent shows up, bright green dress.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, and then we get the other strong sibling, Harwin Strong, as which we'll call Strong. So Creepy Strong is like, time for some exposition, boys. You know what green means for the high towers? That's what color the beacon is when they call their banners to war. And we're like, okay. Yeah, whatever. And the bird's like, got it.
Exposition, brother.
Wow, good one. And so she walks in. The high tower's kind of like also Senatos. They're also wearing green, by the way, because that's just the color that they wear.
Yeah, so that completely throws off all the supposed symbolism behind the color green and all this other bullshit that we'll talk about next episode that I hated.
Yeah. Which lore break for you guys. The battle is called the war between the Greens and the Blacks because Alicent and everyone supporting her wears green. And Rhaenyra wears traditional Targaryen black, and everyone supports her wears blacks. So when everyone's fighting, it's the colors that are battling. But they still wanted you, the audience, to signify that green means something when she shows up. But now it's just the beacon. It's Green Lantern's light.
Yeah, Green Lantern's light. Also, Miguel Sapochnik, one of the executive producers, he was like, oh, and people will know what green means. I'm like, dude, most people don't know, like...
It means go?
Like, yeah, film. Yeah, exactly. That's what most people know about green. The GA, the general audience, thinks green means go, maybe positivity, not change and growth and all this bullshit symbolism that I know it. Yeah, like I'm a film school nerd, but come on, dude. Anyway, moving on.
So she sits down. We're good to go there. Then the bronze cunt comes up, Mr. Gerald. He's like, Oh, yes, it's sorry what happened. I don't think it was an accident. Oh, are you, Damon, fucking quick wit that one. He's just straight up, are you confessing something? You guilty? He's like, no, it's an accusation. He's like, in King's Landing, we punish people for their slanders. Isn't that right, brother? And then Lionel Straw's like, oh my goodness.
In front of Lionel, the hand of the king, in front of the king as well.
Yeah. And so, but he's just straight up like, since we didn't have an heir and she's my wife, don't I inherit the same thing she does? Like Castle Runestone, where you're from? He's like, and he's just like shutting the fuck up. And he's like, I intend to fly over there right after my niece's wedding and petition to Lady Jane and myself. And he's like, oh shit, fly, dragon. Oh boy. He's like, perhaps I'll see you there, bitch. And so I'm like, oh, okay, that shut down real quick. Everyone's dancing.
Also, as if this guy didn't know these things were a threat. Like, he doesn't know the rules of succession in his own kingdom.
Even Targaryens are subject to law in these parts, bro.
And you forgot he had a dragon too? What the fuck's wrong with this guy?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Big-ass dragon. Fuck.
Oh,
damn.
Anyway,
yeah, so everyone's dancing, having a good old time. Meanwhile,
coolest dances ever.
Yeah, Lena. It's not. Lena's like super thirsty, staring across the table at at the sexy uncle Daemon Targaryen. She's like, there's no drink that can handle this thirst right now.
I want some of that too, like my cousin.
Yeah, so she goes out to the dance floor, which triggers Daemon to go out there and kind of dance around as they throw about some sexy quips.
Which once again, could have been interesting.
Could have been.
Got paid off, which it did not. He could have taken her in the back somewhere, taken her to the friggin' the kitchen of all the food that's being cooked. Nothing.
Meanwhile, at the same time, Joffrey Lonmouth is talking to his lover Laenor about how he's like, after looking around the room and seeing who stares at who and who doesn't stare. So Christian Cole definitely doesn't stare at Rhaenyra, so he's the one that's cunt struck. It's like he's had it.
That's true. He had no proof.
Yeah.
It was just his theory of constructness.
Well, that's her sworn knight, and he's specifically not looking at her. That's the sign of getting it on, so boy. Let me tell you. Yeah. And so Laenor's out dancing with Rhaenyra. They try to dance. They could dance if they want to. But we can't let our father know we're gay.
Also a medieval music video.
Yeah. And we also see a character from the book. The dwarf that you see, his name is Mushroom. He's actually important to Rhaenyra, and he's the one whose point of view this story is told, this particular scene. And yeah, he's just there. So, hey, lore, he's there. He's from the book. And so Lonmouth goes over and confronts Sir Criston Cole. He's like, hey, buddy, I like to protect my sworn person as well, just like I know you will. And we can protect them together and keep our secrets.
And Kristen's like, state your business. What the fuck you
talking about? Dude, I know you banged the princess, okay? And then he walks away, and he lifts the sword up so he can walk by. He's still kind of like, gives him a little shove. I'm like, dude, what the fuck's wrong with you? Yeah. Corus is kind of looking down like, when he sees his son dancing with his lover, it's like, one day he'll grow out of it. Which they could have actually changed stuff from the book and kind of like pushed things and been like, maybe Corus instigated what's about to happen, but that's not the case.
No, we can't make it interesting or meaningful.
Meanwhile, Daemon walks right up to Rhaenyra and they start talking in Valyrian like they do, and she straight is like, are you armed? Is like, you could just take me now if you wanted. It's like, the hour grows shorter. You could marry me. It's like, you can slay through all my father's Kingsguard, take me to Dragonstone, and fuck me. And I'm like, whoa, holy shit.
And you're just waiting for something to be her being like, no, I'm just kidding, or no, let's do this.
Viserys is looking through the crowd like, what the fuck's happening? And then all of a sudden, there's screams and a commotion going on. And somehow, because Daemon has a fight or flight response, and it's always flight usually. So he just disappeared from the entire crowd, and he's like, where'd he go?
After two really meaningful, two girls trying to get him to bed, and that's really meaningful. None of that's paid off.
Yeah, Rhaenyra is like calling out for Laenor. Then you find out Sir Criston Cole is actually getting into it with Joffrey. Somehow they're fighting, and he's already been punched in the face. He's on the ground. He pulls a knife on him, and then Sir Criston Cole just slaps that one and starts punching him. Laenor tries to stop him, gets punched in the face, And then, so Christian goes ham on him. The last time we've seen a fucked up face in a Dornishman, it was the Dornishman with the fucked up face. This time he's like, not today, Game of Thrones. I'm going to smash this pumpkin.
I shall break the face.
It's like, Lenor, it's okay. I left his face like hold up for you. It's all moist. We know on Game of Thrones you like it like that. And it was pretty visceral and awesome. Because
the face cave effect.
Yeah, it turned the face and it's fucking ragu. Oh, amazing.
It was good.
But yeah, I'm like, what the fuck? He just committed murder in cold blood and punched
King Consort
the king consort that's about to be the king consort. And I'm like, there are no consequences to this? What the fuck's going on? And then we immediately flash cut. It's the same night, by the way. It's terrible not like cuts. We went through the 7 days of tournaments we'd get. A
shotgun wedding. We gotta do this now.
Okay, we gotta get married right now. Laenor's still wiping blood away and crying over the loss of his lover, and Rhaenyra's upset for him. She actually looks more upset about him losing his lover than he is, because maybe she's like, shit, now he's gonna have to always bang me. I don't know.
I must bang a gay guy.
Meanwhile, I guess it's Dornish or Westerosi Custard to go to the Godswood and commit seppuku.
Yeah, now it's feudal Japan.
Yeah, he sets his sword down, takes his armor off, and he's about to stab himself with the knife when Queen Alicent's like, but wait. And they're showing these cuts at the same time. It's like, do you take this person? Sir Christian Cole's sad. Do you take this person? Yes. Sir Christian Cole is now taking his shirt off.
Yeah.
Do you do this? Now he's about to stab himself. Alicent is in the wedding. The shotgun wedding, yet all of a sudden she's right there to stop. I was like, what is happening? Because it's supposed to be around the same time. And then that's how it ends. It's like, okay, they're married. The king collapses.
And then
the king collapses
at the shotgun
wedding. So he's likely either going to be on his deathbed in the next episode or he's going to be off screen. Meanwhile, a rat is licking up the Night of Kisses puddle of blood, which is very departed of them.
Blood was supposed to be?
Yeah, because that's where it was. They didn't clean it up. They drugged the body off, but they left the Kool-Aid on the floor. The rat's like, I got this, guys. That's my one job. I'll clean up the departed Kool-Aid.
Yeah, and then as you said, it was so ripped off The Departed that my head hurt. And by the way, that's an infamous shot in The Departed. Infamous, what do I want to say? Accent on in, because everyone loved that movie. Kevin Smith, I think it was just the other night on a podcast, I heard him say, like, yeah, I love that movie until the last shot of it. I think that's a joke in Clerks 3, in fact.
I think so.
Like, holy shit, the worst shot of a classic movie, and you stole it for your... I don't know what this episode was trying to do beside being bad. It's like you're trying to be bad. They might as well have put in, I want room service.
Yeah, and so the only other important thing to note, if you're skipping the episode, is Rhaenyra gets married to Laenor, the king collapses, possibly is dying, is dead, will die, definitely going to die. So next episode, big time skip. Everything is gonna happen. Like shit is gonna hit the fan for sure next episode, because the Rite of Succession is gonna be a big fucking deal. And we're going to get our dragons fighting. Hopefully. It's going to start right then.
Finally, dude.
Almost anything will be better than this episode. Maybe even some episodes from Season 8 of Game of Thrones.
And it could have just been like the very last thing is just, maybe it was just this episode had to do some heavy lifting of it's the last one before the time jump, so we were confused and made things bad.
But we didn't get enough stuff that was new or mattered.
No,
that's another thing that's so weird. Oh, and for lore break, by the way, Sir Christian Cole does kill Joffrey. Yeah. But it's during the joust, during the 7-day tournaments that take place before the wedding.
This is in the books.
Yeah, and it happens during the joust part, because Sir Criston doesn't normally kill people like that in the tournaments, because just like he spared Daemon once they were in the unmounted fighting, he would do the same thing. It just was classified as an unfortunate, like, oh no, the Knight of Kisses isn't actually that good. Sir Criston is a real good knight and fucking killed him. It happens, bro.
And he fucked.
But instead, they go from that to, which is just a level of skill that Sir Criston is clearly better than you. You were killed in a knightly battle, to I'm going to murder this guy in cold blood in front of hundreds of witnesses with no repercussions. And I'm like, what is, if you're going to change stuff, make it make sense, because
make sense.
this didn't. It didn't. I'm okay with a lot of things you want to change to make the story flow, but like it just comes out of nowhere. When you watch it, it feels cringe.
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
Very cringe. I felt like embarrassed for the director who was like, "Oh, wait till they see this surprise." I'm like, nothing about that was surprising. It wasn't good, and it was out of character for Kristen Cole, and it was just not at all how they would have reacted either. Well, we do have to open the shop, and I'm tired of talking about this episode, to be honest. So, once again, we are recording live from Davinci's Dreamworks 2 Comic Shop here in sunny Jensen Beach, Florida. We got comics, we got games, we got A Song of Ice and Fire games. Please subscribe to both audio and here in the channel so you don't miss an episode. Once again, youtube.com/above and Batman Beyond. We're also on Spotify for audio. Follow us on Instagram at House of the Dragon Pod. Once again, we do have a YouTube comment. We didn't get to it again, but I was so annoyed with this episode. I'm not too worried about it. And yeah, thank you once again for joining us in entering
House of the Dragon.